Porcupine Fest is just around the corner, and the folks at porkfest.com have a message for you. Get your lodging in order before campsites and hotel rooms sell out. Get your tickets, get your seats on the Liberty Tour buses, soon to roam the state. And if you've got a message or product, grab a vendor table and get it sold. I'll be there and hope you will too. Now, I'm standing here with Chris Gronski, who has apparently obtained a passport without claiming U.S. citizenship. Tell me a little bit about that, Chris. He's from Wolfboro, New Hampshire.
Yeah, years ago, when I was doing work in the Constitution and the law, I learned that how important sovereignty is and your freedom. And it was during that time that I found out in a number of Supreme Court cases and such that there's a distinction, or that there's two classes of citizens in New Hampshire, or no, I'm sorry, in the United States. There are federal citizens and there are state citizens, and that the federal courts had ruled that there are these two classes of citizens. Well, so I didn't want to be a federal citizen because of the tax implications and other things. And so when I filed for my passport, which most people when they file for a passport, they file it under penalty of perjury. And so I filled out my application properly and stated that I'm a citizen of New Hampshire. I'm not a U.S. citizen, which is a federal citizen. That's the same thing. And that I did my passport in Boston at the passport office. And the woman there said to me, she says, "Well, I can't say that this is the first time I've ever seen this." And I was surprised and thankful, because I was hoping that it was going to be proper and all. And so immediately, boom, 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 they did the paperwork. I waited there. They issued me my passport, and I've had it since I think that was in January of 2001.
What's the benefit of doing that? How do you benefit?
Well, what's interesting is for anybody who's followed the Ed Brown case, the Ed and Elaine Brown case, I was in court with Ed and Elaine Brown, or at least when Elaine was testifying, and the IRS had their passport application, her passport application. Now, she was saying part of their tax argument was that she was not a U.S. citizen. Okay, but the IRS prosecutor said, he says, let me see if I understand. It says on your passport application that you are a U.S. citizen. It says, but when it comes to paying your taxes, you're not. Is that what you're saying? And she had no, she had no response to that. She says, well, I didn't know that there was any other way you could fill it out. And the truth is that what you state in that paperwork on your own is, you can amend the application and to be correct and true, and that's what you're signing. And so in our classes, we show people how to do things according to the law and what's proper, and we've had some great things with that. And people can contact me. I can have more specific information on that. But
are there any other benefits that you can think of to having to applying for a passport and claiming yourself as a New Hampshire citizen rather than a U.S. citizen?
Well, if you read the IRS instruction guide and to filing requirements in the IRS instruction guide, it says right at the top, it says, these rules apply to all U.S. citizens regardless of where they live and resident aliens. And if a person is not a U.S. citizen, well, then those rules don't apply to them. And if you're not a resident alien, and a resident is not a resident, it says it's a resident of the United States. But if you look in the tax code and you look up in under section 7701 or section 3121, I believe, under the definition of the United States, the IRS defines the United States as the District of Columbia. Okay, and so a person may not be a resident of the District of Columbia, so therefore they would not be a resident of the United States according to the tax code. So if a person is not a resident of the United States, if they're not a resident alien or they're not a U.S. citizen, that leaves a non-resident alien. Non-resident meaning they don't reside in the federal government, in the federal enclave, and they're alien with respect to the federal government. It doesn't mean they're alien with respect to, here in America. Because I'm a citizen of New Hampshire. I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am an inhabitant of New Hampshire, and that's what my passport application says.
You had any kind of response from Washington? Have they ever contacted you to ask you questions about this, or does it have any census impact or anything like that?
Sure. When we've written when we've helped people with the applications, the response from Washington is passports.
And you've had other people that do this that are successful. How many so far?
I don't know, half a dozen or more.
Oh, cool. And these are around the country or mostly in New Hampshire?
Some people in New Hampshire, other places. And there's still a number of others. And I'm sure there's other people that have done this, not outside of, us, with what I'm doing. But it's not, I'm not the one that generated or came up with this idea. I mean, I have to say that I've learned these things from other people as well. But it is fascinating to see that the federal government acknowledges the truth of the law.
So what's an organization that people can turn to, like, to get more information about there? What's your organization or your website?
Well, I'm not doing this through an organization,
Okay.
and I don't have a website that supports us yet. And but we're the. And, I'm just doing this in my individual capacity as a teacher or a private counsel, but we are forming. So I don't. We're not a formal organization that's facilitating this in that regard. I just we understand something in the law, and with that, if people want to take our classes and learn some of the particulars, we're glad to help them with those things. But other than that, it's just me.
All right, so I should just maybe list your contact information in the video.
Oh yeah, sure. People can contact me at Christopher@destinationfreedom.org.
Porkfest.com